What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Libraries and Weight Rooms podcast. This is the podcast where we talk about how we can do hard things better through both mental and physical fitness. My name is DJ Ligori, and today we are on episode number 153, and thank you so much for taking the time out of your day, because I know it's precious and I know it's valuable, to listen to what I have to say on this show. Speaking of talking on this show, last week we had an awesome episode with Ben Albert from Balbert Marketing. So if you haven't already listened to that episode, go give it a listen. I actually checked yesterday and has over 1,000 views on YouTube right now. And so people seem to really like that episode. And I actually went back and re-listened to it. I re-listened to a lot of episodes just to kind of see where I can improve and see if there's any tendencies that I might want to break, right? Any bad habits and things like that. Nonetheless, Ben's episode has been, really blowing up. So I highly suggest that everybody go give that a listen. It was a great conversation about success and not necessarily faking it until you make it, and instead rather being it until you become it. And so awesome episode. And what I want to talk about today is I want to talk about gratitude. And this is something that I think, people talk about gratitude all the time, and I think it is extremely important. And I was actually listening to the Joe Rogan podcast last night, and he had on Chris Williamson from Modern Wisdom, and they had a great conversation. And in the episode, Joe Rogan actually says that the word gratitude is abused. And I think it is to a certain degree. I think people are always like, we got to practice your gratitude. You got to do this. And I'm often curious about how many people actually really do practice or have some sort of a gratitude habit or a routine that involves being grateful, because this is something that I have been doing for a while. And to be completely honest, there have been times where I've been really locked in with it and had a great habit. And then I've fallen off of that routine, and I can feel the difference in my life. I can feel the difference in the way that I appreciate little things. I can feel the difference in the way that I show up and actually like how happy I am on a daily basis. And you start to notice the things that go right in your life, I think, a little bit quicker. And you start to actually enjoy that a little bit more when you do, I think, consciously practice gratitude and being grateful for things. And there's this great book called The Gap and the Gain that I've talked a lot about, and it's probably one of my favorite books, if not my favorite book. And they talk about measuring backwards. And so actually, instead of noticing all the things that you don't have, you make a very deliberate decision to notice the things that you do have, and you can really express some gratitude in that way. And so what I wanted to walk everybody through today, though, was this really interesting thing that I have been doing over the past probably 3 to 4 months. And I got this idea from David Bayer, and David Bayer is a mindset and entrepreneurial coach. And if you haven't heard of David Bayer, personally, I'm invested in a lot of his programs, and he's one of my mentors, helped me out a lot with rewiring some beliefs around building a business, around finding my wife, around a CrossFit business, a young man business, around income. He's really helped me with a lot of different beliefs that I had around those things. And so if you want to actually get involved with David Bayer, he has an awesome mind hack program. So you can search mind hack David Bayer. I believe it's free. There's an even ebook, and it's awesome. Really, really great program. And so in that mind hack program, David Bayer walks us through this gratitude visualization. And the way that he explains it is basically to think about something that you're grateful for and then actually kind of go backwards. And so the example that he uses in the program is to be, say, for example, you're grateful for the food that you have in your cupboard, and actually thinking about where that food was purchased. Right? You purchased it from a grocery store. All right, where did that grocery store get the food from? All right, where did the people who made the food get it from, like farmland, right? And what seeds were planted, right? And who had to actually harvest the land, and what people had to go out and actually pick, right? The actual fruits and the vegetables and the grains and the proteins and all of these things. And it's like working completely backwards into the smallest step that actually got to you, right? The smallest step of planting a seed that grows into a tree that eventually has apples on it that eventually get picked and eventually get cleaned and eventually then get packaged and then eventually get sold to a grocery store, and then that grocery store then sells them to you, and then they're in your fridge, right? And it's going backwards all the way to kind of like the step one of getting that thing to you, whatever it might be. And so I like to call this deconstructive gratitude, where you basically have this thing that you are grateful for and you try to go back as many steps. But I think what ends up happening is you end up becoming aware of all of the other pieces that had to fall into place in order for you to experience this thing. Because all we really do is we just experience the thing on the surface level, right? If you think about a phone, or if you think about a computer, or you think about an apartment, we just experience stuff on the end result. Yet we didn't necessarily experience or even maybe appreciate the full process that had to be completed to basically get to that end result. And so one of the things that I do every single morning is part of my morning routine is I do a 5-minute gratitude deconstructive visualization. And I like to listen to like some binaural beats, some very quiet binaural beats when I do it. I actually use the Mind Valley app. It's a great app to use if you want to just have, they have a bunch of like free binaural and altered state rhythms that you can listen to. And so I'll put one of those on for 5 minutes, and I will think about one thing in my life that I'm really grateful for. And so I think the easiest example that I've used to kind of explain this is my apartment, right? That as you can see, right, I'm actually filming this podcast in. If I was to be very grateful for my apartment, right, I could think about all of the staff that actually works at the apartment complex. I could think about all of the engineers, the architects, and the actual builders that actually constructed, right, this actual apartment, right, the actual building in and of itself. I can think about all the people who like paved the parking lots. I can think about all the landscaping crew, right? I can think about all of the architects who actually designed it, and then the engineers who actually laid down all the piping for it, the electrical engineers, right? The plumbing. I mean, there's so many things that you can deconstruct when it comes to being grateful for an apartment, right? You can think about something that's really interesting is like the people in your life that you're grateful for, right? Think about like how they actually got into your life, right? And do this for 5 minutes. And what ends up happening, to be completely transparent here, is I get a little emotional sometimes when I think about just how much had to go in to getting me this thing that I'm grateful for, whether it's a human, whether it's an apartment, whether it's a gym that I get to go work out in, whether it's my car, right? Whether it's my financial progress. There's all these things in our life that bring us joy in our life every day. And we may not take the time to actually appreciate just what actually had to happen to actually get to the point of us experiencing this thing, right? And when David Bayer walked me through this exercise, he said that if you want to change anything, you have to ultimately bring energy to it. And gratitude is one of the highest forms of energy, right? And you can actually feel it. And when I say like I get emotional, it's not like just tears, but it's like it's almost like you have like goosebumps, right? You get like shivers like through your body because you get to this level of appreciation and you just kind of sit in it a little bit. And I think what ends up happening is you end up forgetting temporarily about all of these other things in your life that might have been bothering you. And you just kind of sit in this one thing that you're very appreciative for because you're now experiencing all of the steps and the tasks that had to be completed to actually get that thing to you, right? It's really interesting when you really kind of break it down. And I think that this is a great way to incorporate a little bit of gratitude into your life. So take 5 minutes, right, out of your day in the morning. And I recommend doing this in the morning because it kind of sets your day up as this appreciative day. And I say that from experience, right? I do this Monday through Friday and I do not miss a day, right? I track it all on my calendar and my habit tracking systems, but it completely changes the way I feel. It completely changes kind of the mindset that I have right after, and then the work that I'm about to go into. And it's a really cool way to notice all of the things that you do have around you and all of the work and all of the time and the energy and the effort that went into getting you that thing. And instead of just, experiencing it on the surface, what if I appreciated all of the process that actually had to be completed to actually get me that thing? It's a completely different way of, I think, living your life. And I think it's a completely different way of appreciating everything that you do have instead of focusing on all the things that you don't. So I highly recommend trying that. It's a deconstructive gratitude visualization, and do it for 5 minutes in the morning. Listen to some binaural beats to really kind of calm yourself down, and just watch how you change and watch how you feel, and then watch how your mentality and your approach to the rest of the day change as well. So thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode. I hope this gave you a nice little morning routine when it comes to having a nice gratitude practice. As always, if you enjoyed the show, super, super grateful and appreciative. If you rate, review, subscribe, and leave a review, all those stuff, right? All that stuff I'm super, super grateful for. So thank you guys so much. Appreciate your time, appreciate your energy. And until next time, keep doing hard things through both mental and physical fitness. And we'll talk to you guys soon. We'll see you.